To start this project, I headed to my local Dollar Tree and picked up several rolls of this velvet wired ribbon, some nautical rope, and 2 of these plastic laundry baskets. Next, I used a box cutter and very carefully cut out the bottom of the basket, followed by the top and handle. I found it easier to score the plastic and then cut the score. Then I cut through the side completely so that it was able to open up. I then repeated the process for the second basket. Once the baskets were cut, I used duct tape again to tape the basket ends together to make one continuous piece. I made sure to create a very sturdy connection between the 2 baskets so they wouldn't break apart easily. Then I pulled out my faux Christmas tree and determined the circumference needed to wrap around the entire base, then cut one of the ends of the basket to fit nicely. Now it was time to move on to those cardboard boxes. First, I measured the height of the baskets, which for me was about 8 inches. I already knew my ribbon was 2 inches wide, so I cut sections of cardboard using a ruler, box cutter, and a cutting mat. Once all the cardboard pieces were cut, I cut my ribbon into pieces that measured 9 1/4 inches long. I placed the ribbon upside down, then centered the piece of cardboard on the ribbon. First, I hot glued the shorter ends of the ribbon and folded them over, followed by the 2 longer sides, almost like wrapping a present. Then I repeated this step for the rest of the pieces. Next, I hot glued each velvet covered piece of cardboard vertically to the plastic basket, lining the short end of the cardboard up with the top of the plastic. Be aware that this will create gaps in between each panel, so to cover the gaps in the panel, I cut strips at 8 1/2 inches long by 1 inch wide for a total of 30. I covered these strips with ribbon the same way as before, then added them over the gaps all the way around. Then I took some nautical rope and measured the length of the top all the way around and cut the rope. I measured the same length of the ribbon, then wrapped the rope in the ribbon and secured it with hot glue. I added this trim to the top of the plastic with more hot glue. For the bottom, I simply cut the ribbon in half and applied it with more hot glue, making sure that the edge of the ribbon was facing up. Finally, I wrapped this collar around the base of my tree. This project was so easy and so inexpensive, and I'm so happy with how my wash basket Christmas tree collar came out. I hope this inspired you to make this inexpensive tree collar this holiday season to make your Christmas tree stand out and look extra beautiful.
I had this box that was just about to go in the recycle bin when I realized it was the perfect size for my tree. I need to cut the box down to the right height. To make the top of the box look better, I've grabbed a small cup and I'm going to use it to make circles on the top. With all of the circles marked on one side of the box, it's time to cut around them. Now that the box top is done, I want to trim off the bottom flaps. I'm just going to open up the bottom and cut each of the 4 pieces off. I want to give the box a more rounded shape, so I want to roll it around this large crayon tube that I have. This is going to create folds in the cardboard so that it can be manipulated into a circle more easily. Now that that's done, I want to give the tree collar a really lovely feel, and I've chosen this thick jute twine to cover the box with. I'll wrap the twine around the box until it's completely covered. I can also add a little bit of hot glue to the top of the scallops as well if I need to hold the twine in place. I've placed the collar where I want the tree to go, and I'm placing the tree stand down right inside. I can add the tree now right onto the stand. I couldn't be more happy with how pretty the tree collar is and how easy it was to make. Who would have guessed a cardboard box could look so good? I hope this has inspired you to make your own Christmas tree collar as well.
You won't believe what I made out of a cardboard box. I cut up my latest Amazon box to create a symmetrical design with 2 triangles or peaks the same size, each separated by a rectangular piece. I cut out window and door shapes and found it easiest to cut from the back side to create a clean finish. Then I outlined everything with a white acrylic paint marker and added a few extra embellishments. I assembled it into a house using hot glue, then measured and cut 2 roof pieces. Once glued on, I decorated the roof with white acrylic marker, placed some fairy lights inside, and I have the cutest gingerbread houses. These make great kid-friendly holiday decorations too. I hope this inspired you to create something cute out of your cardboard boxes.
Save those cardboard boxes and make this. Pick up some bulletin board paper in brick and marble. I started by wrapping a single sheet of cardboard in marble paper. I'm going to wrap this up just like a present. Then I grabbed 2 rectangular boxes and I'm going to wrap these in the brick paper. I want to make sure these 2 are the same size. Then I'm going to grab another square piece of cardboard and wrap that in brick as well. Now let's put it together. I've got a base, 2 sides, a back, and a mantle, and I have created a fireplace. Now let's decorate it. I want to put some logs in my fireplace, so I picked up this paper from the craft store and it kind of looks like it has a wood grain to it. I'm just going to roll it into a circle and tape the ends together. Now I need to cap off the ends, so I'm going to cut out a cardboard circle and put a piece of the wood paper on top of that, and then just glue that wood circle to the paper tube that I made. I'm going to repeat this till I have 3 logs. Now I can just place these in my fireplace. They are pretty lightweight, so I might use some Scotch tape to keep them in place. Now I want this to look like it is a real fireplace, so I'm going to grab some fairy lights, some battery-operated lights, and I'm going to stick these in the fireplace on this kind of pulsing setting so it looks like a flame. Add a few decorations to the top, and I have this beautiful little mantle that's going to be so festive for the season. I hope this inspired you to save those boxes, pick up some fun paper, and create your own fireplace.
We're going to start with some of that old cardboard tubing you get for wrapping gifts. We can also use paper towel holders and some toilet roll holders. First thing you're going to do is take that long tube that you got from the wrapping paper and you're going to cut it right in half, but not exactly in half. One piece needs to be a little bit bigger than the other. Here's our paper towel holder. This fits perfectly right here, number 3 position. Now you can grab a longer tube, offset it on the inside a little bit, mark your finger, and you're going to cut that tube also. We're going to just keep cutting tubes until we go all the way up to the top of our tree. Once we got all of those cut out, let's put the trunk on. That's what it's going to look like. Next, we're going to grab some fabric. I went ahead and grabbed some red. I love this one. It's really Christmassy. Some plaid and also some gray and black. These are going to be perfect. What we need to do is take that first layer of cardboard and we're going to offset it a little bit because we need to tuck it in. So don't put it on the edge. We're going to mark this because we need to cut it. What's going to happen is this fabric's going to roll over the tube. We need enough to make sure that we have it to glue down. Cut out your piece. Again, you're going to leave about an inch on the outside. Cut it across the top. Once you get that cut out, run you a bead of hot glue down the cardboard tube. Once you get that on there, instead of pulling the fabric over, what you can do is just roll the tube right into place. And there it is. That's much better and it holds great. Now this one though, run the glue across the top of the fabric. But we don't have to roll it over towards the tube. You just take that tube, roll, 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 and there it is. Hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds and it's going to adhere. On the outside, just put a bead of glue one place, 180 degrees from the other, and just start tucking it in. It's okay if it doesn't grab the tube, but it'll grab the other part of the fabric. And look at that. It's all nice and neat for you. Now, once we got at least 2 tubes that are covered in the fabric, run a bead of glue right across the seam because we're going to try to hide that. Put these 2 tubes together, go in order, place it right next to it, and again, just like any hot glue, hold it for 10 to 15 seconds. Make sure you got it lined up. Just keep on going. And I use some burlap also in there to intermingle. Make it look good and stand out. Last but not least, look at that trunk. I think burlap is perfect for it. We're going to glue that on there. The only issue we have is this is really not strong enough just having fabric glued to each other. So let's grab us a paint stick, put some glue on the backside, turn it over, and that is going to get pressed onto the fabric and it's going to give it some stiffness. We can do this up and down. Watch this. So much better. Now we're going to flip it back over. It's time to decorate. I grabbed a little bow that I made, put some hot glue on it, and I'm going to put it onto my Christmas tree. I need to add a little pizzazz to it. Also, I can grab a little ornament and do the same. All of these I picked up at the hobby store. Just put it on there. And guess what? When we come back, I'm going to show you what the final project looks like. And there it is. Isn't that just beautiful sitting on top of your mantle with everything all decorated? I hope this inspired you to build your own upcycle Christmas tree.
I have a flower pot that has no hole in the bottom, so that's perfect for mixing my plaster of Paris right in it. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm adding the cold water in. I use a paint stirrer to stir it thoroughly and make sure you get all of those dried bits thoroughly coated with water. Go ahead and put your PVC or dowel into the plaster of Paris and use some boards to prop it up like so, making sure that it is straight. This is a fantastic plastic garden earth. So I'm going to get a cloth wet and get it all cleaned up, and then we're going to paint it a fun holiday green. So here is my big urn that I painted green, and here is my PVC, and it just so happens that this fits really tightly right down in there. And what I'm going to do is just take the corner and cut a piece off of the corner until I feel like I have a large enough hole that that piece of PVC, or if you're doing a dowel rod, will fit right through there. And I'm going to let that fall right down over top of it. You can see that I have my topsy-turvy packages all ready to wrap. I'm going to be doing my Christmas decorating in plaid this year, so it's time to get to work wrapping gifts. Don't forget when you're wrapping your gifts that you need to leave these exposed. So you can wrap them and then cut the paper out. You might want to put a little extra tape there to make sure that it doesn't rip around those. Here's one of our corners that we're going to need to cut out. So I'm just going to take and fold it inside. And like I said, just to make sure it doesn't just keep ripping, I'm just going to take some tape and tape it right inside there. That just protects that just a little bit. So we have all of our packages stacked up, have some white garland. I'm going to tuck this right in here. And now I have tied some really big bows for our really big packages. So I'm going to go ahead and take some ribbon and wrap it around the boxes. I'm just going to tape that right down. And then of course we have to have a piece going across this way. I put a piece of my packing tape over my chenille stem, and then I'm just going to make sure that I'm sticking this not just to the ribbon, but to the paper. And then I'm going to fluff my bow just a little bit more. I have extended my chenille stems with a couple extra ones, just wired them together. So I'm going to tighten that on there, twist that on there a couple of times. So I am now all ready to greet my guests for Christmas at my front door with my big topsy-turvy gifts balancing in their urn. And I've added a few little gifts wrapped, tucked around the bottom of my plants. And I think my guests will be bowled over by this as they arrive.
So we had this really large box, and this is the one I'll be using to start this project. So I flattened the box and opened it up to the inside and cut it into two sections. And I'll be using the bottom half down here where it is the least amount damaged. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna just take a pencil and I'm gonna sketch out roughly the shape of a gingerbread person. Now that you can see the gingerbread man is all drawn, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out with a razor blade. Now I'm going to pull the gingerbread man out, and then I'm going to bring him inside to work on. Now before I go in to decorate the first one, I'm going to go ahead and cut a second one out before I run inside. Now I have two friends that are ready to be decorated, so I'm going to take them inside. Now it's time to start embellishing. So I'm going to start by placing some button eyes at the top and gluing them into place. So I'll just go ahead and put some hot glue. Next, I have some old bulbs, and I'm just gonna hot glue those on like buttons. So I just kind of want to aim for where I'd like those to be. Next, I'm gonna bend a pipe cleaner into a smiley face shape. And then I'm gonna add a couple little dots of hot glue to kind of get it just to stick. And if I need to add more, I can. But we're gonna go ahead and get that into place. For the second one, I'm gonna repeat the same process with the eyes. So I'm gonna put the eyes into place. And then I've got these little snowflake ornaments from another project that I did, and I'm just gonna use those in the center. I'll glue both of those into place. So I want her to have a bow in her hair. So I'm gonna go ahead and I cut some diamond adhesive back wrap. I'm gonna stick that on here. Now she'll have a cute little bow. So I'm gonna peel the back off and place it on our gingerbread guy. I'll lower this down a little bit. There we go. So for each leg, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a little strip of zigzag ribbon because then it creates the illusion that it's frosting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a couple dabs of hot glue, and then I'll hold that into place. I'm also gonna run a line of this zigzag along the bottom and along the neckline of our girl. And then I'm also gonna take and finish lining the rest of her. So I want her dress to kind of be lined out. So I'll go ahead and finish that. Here they are, all finished, and you can embellish them any way you want to. And if you're not comfortable making them with cardboard because of the environment you live in, it's okay, you can make them out of poster board or foam core board, or there's lots of other possibilities. I hope this inspires you to make some gingerbread people of your own.